but we'll start right away. And since not everyone is here yet, then instead of waiting for them, we should get started because I have a session at 3, so I have to end promptly before 3 or around the time the bell starts ringing. So with that, let me just make some preliminary statements. This is a bill that these are a series of bills, and one of which I filed on sustainable and alternative modes of transportation. Then there are there's another bill by Senator Miriam on the use of bicycles, which of course is something I fully support and do. Senator Marcos on promoting commuting by bicycle as well and non-motorized transportation vehicles. And Senator Jinggoy the same way on bicycles. So this is my advocacy, and it's been a long while. I need to put on record that this is actually a hearing on the Committee on Public Service, which I do not chair, but upon my request, Senator Serge Osmeña, the acting chairman of the committee, created a subcommittee so we could hear these pending bills. No? I think it is very timely. Christmas season is the perfect time to talk about traffic. That's why I commended everyone who was here on time. On that note, I'm a big believer that quality of life is very important, and one of the factors that severely reduces the quality of life is transportation. And I do believe that it is the obligation of every government to provide sustainable, safe, various modes of transportation for everyone, because there's not a one-size-fit-all. And clearly, anyone can tell us that this requires long-term planning, and that is why we have a number of government agencies here today, because we really would like to know what has been done, what has yet to be done, what do we aspire for. Baka naman pangarap pa lang, kulang na tayo, no? I'd like to encourage everyone to be creative today, and if your job does not allow you to be so, then you go back after this hearing with that sense of creativity and present it to your bosses, who should have the ability and the leeway to be creative. So on that note, my personal rule when I conduct hearings is wag niyo akong basahan ng mahabang position paper. Kulang ang oras natin, pwede ko nang basahin mamaya yan. What I would prefer is that i-adlib nyo lang yung position paper niya. Of course, if it's technical, then I'm not saying don't refer to your notes, but highlight nyo lang, no? So that we can all, we can hear what everybody else has to say, and I can have time to ask questions. On that note, let me start then with Attorney Oposa, who has a presentation, and then we will go through everyone else. Just for the record, Attorney Oposa and I have been dreaming of this for quite some time. So probably some of you here as well. I don't know if we have the same dream, but I can say that we've had long discussions on this, and so I am actually relieved that we're finally having this hearing. This bill has officially been pending for a few years, and the activities that have been going on behind it are really just waiting for a comprehensive plan, not just from legislators, but also from the executive department. So on that note, I give the floor to Attorney Oposa, and then we'll hear from others. Thank you.
Congratulations, Senator Pia. It's okay. For finally, this has seeing the light of day. Matagal na ho namin pinag-uusapan ito. It's okay. I always stand up. Okay, I will start with a short story. Once upon a time, may bata na mahirap siya, gulay lang yung kinakain niya, tapos naglalakad lang siya 5 kilometers to school, back and forth. Kikita niya kotse. Napipisikan pa siya. Sabi niya, balang araw, pag ako yumaman, bibili ako kotse. So, nag-aral siya mabuti, naging abogado siya, mayaman siya, bumili siya maraming kotse, hindi na siya naglalakad. One time, in the middle of a hearing, of an intense trial, he collapsed. So, kain siya ng kain na masarap ng pagkain. Nag-collapse siya. Tapos, ended up in the ICU. Tapos, pagkatapos, nagpunta siya, nagising siya, nagkoma siya for 30 days, nagising siya. After 30 days, nagising siya, punta siya sa doktor. Sabi nung doktor sa kanya, anong sakit? Sabi niya sa doktor, anong sakit ko, Dok? Sabi nung, meron kang diabetes, meron kang hypertension, cholesterol, arthritis, etc., etc. Ibig sabihin, he had the lifestyle diseases. Sabi niya, anong gagawin ko, Dok? Sabi nung doktor, kailangan mag-diet ka, kumain ka gulay. Tapos maglakad ka 5 kilometro isang araw. My friends, the lesson of this story is very simple. One is that bata pa tayo, we are already aspiring for cars. Yung model natin of transportation is cars. Number two, we all know that it is unhealthy and wasteful, unhealthy. Number two, we are now in a full-blown crisis, like the health crisis that was met by this gentleman. We're now in a full-blown crisis. Some say it's Carmageddon. I call it a cardiac arrest. Di ba? We're here in a cardiac arrest. Hindi na tayo gumagalaw. And what is the danger? The danger is we're totally paralyzed. And as the good senator was saying, ngayon, it's a perfect time to speak kasi it takes us an hour, it takes us several hours to get from point A to point B. The opportunity, in every crisis, there is a danger, there is opportunity. The opportunity is to think differently. And I commend the good senator and the staff for asking for a mind shift. This is not about sharing the roads. This is not about fixing the roads. It's about shifting the mindset of transportation. Ito ba, this is what you call progress? Di ba hindi na tayo gumagalaw? Ito ba yung ina-aspire natin mangyari? What is thinking differently? As we go back to the story, we need a road diet. Imbis na palaparan natin yung kalsada, palitin natin yung kalsada. Tapos, balik tayo sa lakad. Di ba? Balik tayo sa lakad. Look at very quickly, the disadvantages of a car-based system. These are 60 cars occupied by about 70 people. Kung tinanggal mo yan lahat, nilagay mo dito, following what I call the principle of the ant. Di ba, ang dami-daming langgam, pero wala silang traffic. Dahil naghihilera sila. Oh, di wala, bakante lahat yan. Look at this. Very simple. Oh, di ba? And, number two, it is unfair. Less than 1% of the people of the Philippines own cars. I have it on good authority. I'll show you the evidence. I'm a lawyer. All of the roads are given to cars. People who do not have cars are not even given a proper sidewalk or a proper bike lane, not even given a proper option. So that less than 1%, what is that called in constitutional law? Unequal protection of the law. Discrimination sa mga mahihirap. Di ba? Look at this evidence. In 2011, less than 1 million people have cars. That's about 1 million siguro now. Tapos proud na proud tayo na 20% ang increase ng benta ng kotse. I'm not against cars, by the way. I have a car. But I'd rather not have a car if good public transportation were available. Look at this, ha? Oh. Tapos samantalang bus, galing 33,000, naging 8,000 na lang. Tapos yung mga kotse, 1 million yan. Owned by how many? 500,000 people? Unhealthy. We need to walk. Every human being every adult needs to walk 5 kilometers a day. O yan, tuwa ba yung bata niyan? Ginagawa natin yan. This one runs on fat and saves you money. This one runs on money and makes you fat. So ano solusyon? Magbayanihan tayo sa kalsada. Di ba? Ito, tingnan mo to. May malaking sidewalk, may malaking bike lane, tapos may public transportation. Where is that? That is one of the most affluent cities in the world. Amsterdam. I took that picture. Pwede pala eh. Di ba? Kasi ang masakit sa atin, gumagaya tayo ng Los Angeles, which is the worst traffic congestion in the whole of the United States. Ginagawa na ba yan? Oh, what is this bill asking for? It's a mind shift, a 180-degree mind shift from roads that are meant for motor vehicles to roads that are meant for people. For bias for private transportation to bias for public transportation. From wasting space to the efficient use of space. From road widening to road diet. From agawan sa karsada at swapangan sa karsada, which is prevailing now, to bigayan at bayanihan sa daan. Pilipino tayo eh. Nakalimutan natin, gumagaya tayo Amerikano. Yeah? Road diet. Anong hinihingi namin? Divide the road by half. Kalahati for motor vehicles and kalahati for people. Sabi, ang laki naman. Bakit kalahati? 99% kami walang kotse. Dapat nga, 99% hinihingi namin yung kotse nandun lang kayo sa sidewalk. So how do we go about it? This is the more important. Prove the concept. This is, sino taga-Pasig dito? Wala pa? O yun. This is what we're doing sa Pasig. Mga kasama ko. This is what they're doing now in Pasig, in the East Bank Road. Hinati nila yung karsada. Kalahati para sa sasakyan, kalahati para sa tao. Ginawa namin yan, November 30. Di ba kasama tayo? May sasakyan dyan, may bisikleta dito. Kasya lahat. Di ba? Meron pa silang invento, the tricycle rapid transit. Pagdugtong-dugtong mo yan, Di ba? Yung isa lang ang makina umaandar, madaming nakikinabang. Naka-neutral naman lahat yan, Di ba? Ito yung mga tao, nagsama, hindi national government. These are local people. Ordinary people working together. Iloilo City. Senator, you know about the Calle Real, the heritage district nila, di ba? We did this last December 5. Ganun, Yung mga sasakyan dito, tricycle, may pedicab rapid transit pa sila, bisikleta. Pwede. And then sabihin mo, kalahati, sobra naman yung kalahati. Frag Relon is already doing that in the diversion road. They're building 20 kilometers. More than half of the road is devoted to pedestrians and to sidewalk. So it's being done. Cebu, that did it already. Ito ang sinasabi ko sa iyo, Brad. Di ba, pwede naman dugtong-dugtongin yung mga bus, Sabihin mo, dinrowing ko lang yan. Yeah, but that's called articulated buses. Pwede naman yan, Ilagay mo yan sa release. Lalong mabilis, di ba? Pero following the principle of the ant. Yung jeepney rapid transit, yung kaibigan mo, Senator Pia, okay yan. But let us use this. Tingnan mo, pinagdugtog-dugtog nila yan. We'll call it the Bayanihan Jeepney Rapid Transit. My friends, it's all possible. May pedicab rapid transit, pinagdugtong-dugtong nila doon sa doon sa Iloilo, di ba? O para mas masaya, gawin mong train-train para maganda. In the Cebu, we invented this. The self-contained renewable energy transport. Solar-powered, wind-powered, and pedal-powered, all charging a bank of batteries, and then i-truck. Kung ilagay mo yan sa release, di mabilis. Sabi, mahirap kung lumagay na release. Tingnan mo, siya, Loren Ligardao, nagpipidal. We did it with Ed Hagedorn. That only cost 80,000 pesos. That's only angle bars. But what we're trying to prove is that it is so easy. Hindi kailangan ng pera, kailangan konting imagination. Sabi ni Ma'am Pia, ito, DOST, gumawa na ng ganito. Kaya pala. My friends, never underestimate the genius of the Filipino. If the Filipinos were to build the World Trade Center, hindi sana tamaan ng aeroplano ni Bin Laden yun. Sana ganito sana yun, Tinan mo. My friends, that airplane of Bin Laden is the crisis that we're facing. Hindi na tayo gumagalaw. The ability to sway is the Filipino genius of resilience. Magagaling tayo, creative tayo, wala lang nakakapagay. By the way, that is not a request. That's already a law. Yan, Executive Order 774, ginagawa ba yan? DILG, DOTC, DPWH. The trouble is, laws in the Philippines are only suggestions. I hope it does not end like this. Diba? Ito pa. Pero, sigaw ka ng sigaw, wala namang makikinig sa'yo, kaya nag-file na naman kami ng kaso. Pero hindi na ako nag-file ng kaso. It was my students and my former students. We filed the case, now pending in the Supreme Court. DOTC, DPWH, everybody is sued, including the Office of the President. Dahil kung matagal mag-usap, pero doon tayo sa husgado mag-usap, pabilis. There will be a resolution. Ito. Di ba? My friends, they say that the social changes happen top-down or bottom-up. Top-down is fast, but it does not last. Why? Because when the top is changed, everything changes, lalo na kung kontrapartido. Bottom-up is effective, it lasts, but takes very long. The fastest social changes happen when the top meets the bottom. It's called the sandwich theory of social change. Sa Pilipino, binibingka. So, ganun yung ginawa namin. Kita mo, mukha mo, bago ho kami nagsampan ng kaso, inimbitahan ko ho lahat ng mga sekretary na papailan ko ng kaso. Inimbitahan ko sila doon sa Polo Club. O yan, nandito si Babe Singson, nandyan si Buy Bonifacio, nandito si Buy, nandun si Rene Limcauco, na this is not about you. This is about, sabi nga ni Senator, this is a long-term plan. The trouble is, everybody is thinking short-term. So we have suggested, we're closing, suggested legal provisions. Number one, no garage, no car registration policy. Number two, no private parking on public roads. Number three, I will provide you all the legal basis for this. Number three, we require a permit to poison the air as a requirement for registration of vehicle. You think that's ridiculous? No, it's already contained in Section 13 of the Clean Air Act. We're just reframing it, rewording it into permit to poison the air. Will anyone dare do this? Why? Because it's poison. Bakit nandun, why will we inflict poison on other people? There are other suggestions, incentives, etc., parking requirement. Yung ginawa niyo, ma'am, I suggest it be 4 meters instead of 3 meters sidewalks. And then take up the space of the road. Bakit ba natin pinagmamalaki ang karsada ba ginawa para sa tao, para sa sasakyan? Diba? National reform, maybe the DPWH will not like this, but take out highways from the DPWH because highways is a component of transportation. It should be in the transportation. Kaya you have a standalone department that just keeps on building roads as if roads were the solution to cars. Building roads as a solution to traffic is like trying to fight a fire pouring gasoline instead of water. And I can show you what's happening to Adanghari. Anyway, we will invite our government officials. At the end of this session, we would like to call for an action planning meeting to support para hindi na yung matagal. Kasi mo, no offense meant, and you all know this, pag ang gobyerno hinintay natin, tagal. Di ba? So at 3 p.m., we will have an action planning meeting. I asked for to use a room here, whoever is available, because we will do the following things. One is proof of concept. Iloilo, Pasig, maybe Taguig is also going to do it. You just show, you can do it on a Sunday or on evenings. You just show that it can be done. Then you extend the time, you extend the day. Eventually, change is going to happen. And then public transportation cooperatives. And then resource mobilization. Madali yan. We never think about money. By the way, nandito yung road board. There is already a law saying that for this purpose, the money from the road board must be used. Number 4, we will mobilize millions of signatures to support this bill. My friends, there is also a on a local level, we will also mobilize. May batas ho tayo that only 50 signatures, 50 voters can pass a local ordinance. 100 for municipalities, 1,000 for cities. So the ordinance will be hati tayo sa karsada. But we will not wait for the implementation. Lumabas man itong batas na to next year, yung implementation, abutin tayo ng siyam-siyam. Let's do it in a local level. And last week, we signed a petition, we signed a statement of support. And to our government officials, we only say, those of you who share our vision, maraming salamat. We will be the wind beneath your wings. Maraming salamat po.
Let me welcome Senator Villar, who is also a very strong advocate on sustainable transportation, living, and all related matters. Anyway, thank you very much, Attorney Oposa, for that very inspiring presentation. I share your frustration and do wish that this can all happen tomorrow. Hopefully after this hearing, because we gathered a lot of the people who are decision makers, or at least representing the offices of decision makers, we can really see things move forward. So I think the next speaker I should call on would be from DOTC, that's ASEC Bonifacio, and then probably NEDA, no? But let's take it from there. I'll give the floor to ASEC Bonifacio. Generally, do you have a presentation? No, okay. But can you brief us on the Sustainable Transportation Plan, if any, of DOTC, timeframes, budget, obstacles, visions, everything?
Hi, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Thank you for the time. We don't have a presentation, but I guess I'll just be sharing very briefly what are the plans of the department as it relates to your bill, because we only reviewed your bill because I think it's the most relevant to us.
Others are specific to biking.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it's more
it would be
of-
covered, yes.
Yes.
And by the way, let me also acknowledge ASEC Patdu. I was told you were going to make this presentation. That's why I didn't call on him yet. But by all means, bahala na kayong to share the floor.
Yes, ma'am. I guess very briefly, there is already a NEST. It's a National Environmentally Sustainable Transport Strategy for the Philippines. I think it was a study funded by IGES and also UN Center for Regional Development. I am not very sure if this has been implemented because I only joined the department less than a year ago. So I think it's not yet being implemented by the department. But what we're doing right now is this NEST is the basis of the National Implementation Plan. The National Implementation Plan is our commitment under ASEAN. Each ASEAN country must pass an environmentally sustainable transport plan, and it is Japan who is working heavily with the ASEAN countries to enable us to realize this goal. So an NIP has been drafted by the department, and it is, we have asked GIZ, which is the German aid agency, to do a sort of a peer review of this national implementation plan. We've already consulted stakeholders, etc. We actually just had a meeting a stakeholders workshop last December 1, and we've invited other relevant agencies like DPWH, MMDA, etc. In the transport sector to give their comments and feedback on this national implementation plan. We've gotten all of their comments, and we're going to be incorporating their comments, suggestions, etc. And our timeline is to finalize this national implementation plan by first quarter of next year.
Is the basic content of that plan?
So it's essentially moving to low pollution, low emission transport program. In a nutshell, if you want a one-liner for this, it is to advance in the international modernization process in vehicle and fuels technology.
Can you say that again?
For the Philippines to advance in the international modernization process in vehicle and fuels technology. A short description would be an implementation plan that specifies technical solutions in gasoline and diesel technology and regulatory instruments so that we could transition into this modernization. That's the recommendation of the GIZ when we asked them to peer review this NIP. So for them, the most doable for us to shift to low emission transport systems is to modernize the vehicle and the fuels. So it's a bit technical. It's looking at modernizing, for example, the jeepneys.
I understand. That's why I asked you to repeat the phrase.
Yeah.
My understanding, though, is, and I support that, but it's still within the same framework of vehicles, motor vehicles.
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
And that will only address some of the problems we currently have. So in other words, if we talk about the two-stroke versus four-stroke tricycles, then we know we have to make that shift. If we talk about dirty, cheap diesel, we also know we should make that shift. But how does this address the bigger picture? The sidewalks, promoting walkable cities.
Yes, ma'am.
In the provinces and ideally in the cities as well. Bike commuting. So how does that become part of that plan?
Yes, Your Honor.
Or is it a different plan? Because from the title, it doesn't quite sound like it is part of it?
Actually, if the full title is the National Implementation Plan on Environment Improvement in the Transport Sector. So to address your concern, I forgot to mention that it also includes a policy framework that promotes sustainable mobility through the integration of land use planning, one, prioritization of infrastructure investments. Third is setting real prices for fuel and road use. Fourth would be the setting the legal framework for good urban walkways. And fifth is effective traffic management, among others. So it has a policy framework component that looks at promoting, for example, non-motorized transport, walkability, etc. So I think we will be honest to say that in the department, even if it has the mandate to be the policy body for transport, I think nauna yung projects. When I came on board, there are a number of projects that address you could package it as lowering emissions, it could contribute to our NAMA, GHG emissions, etc. But the thing lacking is there's no policy framework that pulls together all of these projects to show that they're actually contributing. For example, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the Cebu BRT project. So a Cebu BRT project contributes to lowering GHG emissions. You could consider it as a NAMA, Nationally Appropriate Mitigation Actions. But then it's not seen that way because I guess that's the traditional framework of government. It's infrastructure, if it's transport, but we've been working with donor agencies like GIZ, also the group of Tony Posa EDB, so that you could see these projects as contributing to lowering emissions in the country. So
just want to ask question.
Yes,
Is there a
ma'am.
budget for that program?
For Cebu BRT, ma'am, it's a foreign assistance.
No. In general, the DOTC, because I heard there is a budget for transportation solution towards improvement of the environment.
Yes, ma'am. I think you could be talking about the SVPCF funding. That's the Special Vehicle Control Fund. The DOTC gets a 7.5% share in the MVUC. So current sa Motor Vehicles Users Charge, ma'am.
That one.
Yes, ma'am.
Can
There's
you furnish me a write-up on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Kasi, I have a project which will fall under that, and I just want to know what is the budget for that.
Ma'am, currently it's an accrued fund. We have 5 billion. It's sitting there. So we're working again with GIZ to help us come up with project criteria. Because ma'am, we're opening it up to other agencies like the OST, MMDA. Our practice was they could always propose
Access the
projects.
fund,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. But now, since it's a big fund, we're trying to put criteria, a proper process so that everyone could be given due process in the consideration of projects.
Can you give me a write-up on that?
Yes,
fund
ma'am.
And send it to my office. I'm just asking for your indulgence kasi I wanted to provide a quorum to this hearing, but my guest is upstairs already, so I have to go. I'm just interested in that fund. Okay.
Yes, Your
Thank
Honor.
you very much.
Go ahead.
Okay. Ma'am, should we go into the provisions of your proposed bill?
Well, no, we can, but I want to, if you have no further information to add on that, what do you basically call it? The National Implementation Plan for Sustainable Transportation? Is that, in a nutshell, what it's called? Or
Yes,
is there
ma'am.
another? Okay. I would like to get more details. Is there actually a document?
I actually have the draft, ma'am, but this is the old one, which was drafted in 2011.
Okay.
And it does not yet incorporate the comments that arose during the December one.
So when will you have that, you think?
The deadline I set to the staff who's doing this is end of January.
Okay, maybe you can give us a copy and
Sure.
then also furnish us with a copy of the comments, no? But let me raise some points that I had raised during the budget. When you speak of, you had earlier mentioned that the objective based on our commitment to ASEAN is to submit a national sustainable transportation plan that is environmentally friendly. Is that or did I mix up some of the terms? Only because, let me just go straight to my point.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, I want something that is environmentally friendly, but environmentally friendly alone does not necessarily tackle other issues like traffic management. I mean, I could decide that, okay, I want everything to be environmentally friendly, therefore from now on, no fuel. I could say that, no, and of course it will take us forever to get from long distance travel. So that's why I was a little bit concerned if the focus was just environmentally friendly, because it should be environmentally friendly, taking into consideration all other factors, including traffic management, including sustainability. And during the budget session that just ended 2 weeks ago, I actually made my own presentation during the budget wherein I showed similar photos that Attorney Oposa showed of me riding in Egypt and etc. But then I also pointed out that LTFRB, are you here? Or hindi sila invited in this hearing? We invited them, but they're not here. So I pointed out that there were at least 4 groups that we picked up just from the news, just online, that were operating E-Jeeps in different cities. And none ba? None? Or one of which had a franchise? Only one? Are you sure one or none? One. Makati had a franchise. No one else had. So that goes into traffic management, managing, there's another term, is that the term you gave me, the travel demand, or anyway, it goes into all that. And I was like, so that's where we're blindsided. We're so proud that, environmentally friendly to, Egypt. O sige, bahala na kayo. O kayo, 20, dun sa inyo, 100. That's still more rolling vehicles on roads that cannot afford to have a single extra vehicle. And there's no plan as to how big will those Egypts be. Is it more sustainable if there are 40 person capacity or 20 or dapat nga JRT na sila? Walang plano. So that was very, very frustrating. And what was worse in this case, and I will keep an eye out because I don't find it acceptable that one of the proponents, one of the big groups, and they're always in the news, is pushing for, do they even call it an Egypt? They call it an Egypt, no? Egypt, no? One group is rolling out Egypts, according to them, 200 in Quezon City, something like that. That's imported. And we have a jeepney industry. We have a local Philippine jeepney industry. Sustainability means providing jobs, and that's also where my other strong advocacy, and it's the committee that I chair on education, arts, and culture comes in. That's our heritage. That's our culture, these jeepney cultures. By coming up with something like a JRT, we sustain our culture and its viability. So, that is my serious concern. Is that somehow addressed there? Because that's what I don't want to see, that suddenly there's a proliferation of imported Egypts, or that no one is managing. Why does this city that already has so much traffic now need additional Egypts? May tinanggal ba silang luma? Paano nagkasya yun? Yeah, a response, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Regarding your first concern, the NIP, the National Implementation Plan, is not just environmentally friendly but sustainable. Okay. So the goal is to provide accessible, affordable, safe, resilient, and sustainable transport systems. That's the ASEAN goal, ma'am, and that's the ASEAN commitment we're adhering to.
Can you read that again? Affordable, safe,
environmentally friendly, accessible, and sustainable transport
okay. That's
systems.
The thing.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think many people dissect the meaning of sustainable. No? So that's just my
yes.
personal issue. So you said affordable, safe, I can't read my own writing, environmentally friendly, accessible, and sustainable. And that's where people just assume sustainable means environmentally friendly. Sustainable means ecological. Sustainable is very broad. And
yes.
again, I'll use the example of I do not consider it sustainable if, and you said this is an ASEAN Japanese-led, and I have spoken with the former Japanese ambassador, and I would have loved to have seen some of his ideas come to fruition in terms of the long-term long-term planning and implementation of what do you call it, a fast train or something like that. No, I support that. But what I wouldn't want to see is other countries trying to sell us their versions of the
definitely.
Egypts and things like that.
Yes.
You agree with me, but if you open the papers, you will see what I'm talking about no less than President Obama had his picture taken with this vehicle when he was here, and it's an alternative to our jeepney, which not only represents the livelihood of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Filipinos, but is actually an icon of what the Philippines is all over the world. So, you know, we proudly did this. I don't know if it is officially a PPP or whatever, which in effect will eliminate something that should be transformed instead. DOST should be coming in instead and changing the old way we run our jeepneys instead of this imported vehicle. So that's the assurance I need to hear from the OTC, that nothing like this. And honestly, during the budget deliberations, the secretary did say, yes, we'll look into it. But if you look at the press releases of the people involved, it's like it's a done deal that millions will be spent bringing in these foreign vehicles here. So that's something I want to be sure you address.
Yes, Your Honor. The department has not come out regarding its policy on electric jeepneys. So we're still in the process of, we're entertaining all and every application. But as you already mentioned, maybe I could just share, how do you know that we have enough jeepneys on the road? To address your concern, we're playing catch up actually. When we got there, we don't have an origin-destination study. An origin-destination study tells you where your population are going in Metro Manila. The last one was done in 1996. It's called the Commuters. So it essentially, ideally it should be reviewed every 5 years so that we know, do we have enough buses on the road? Do we have enough jeepneys on the road? But it hasn't been done in 20 years. So currently, the Metro Manila one is being updated by JICA. So we're expecting to get the results by November of next year. So November of 2015. So that would be the basis for us to assess whether there are enough jeepneys and there are enough buses on the road, and also whether it's warranted to put up another rail or a BRT, for example. So that should be the basis. But as I've said, we're playing catch up. So we still don't know if we have enough on the road. So as you know, there's a moratorium on all of the franchise applications. So that's why the only exceptions would be if you're applying for a franchise using electric or hybrid or CNG, LPG, etc., alternative fuel vehicles. Regarding your concern with electric vehicles,
Exception to granting franchises.
yes, ma'am,
Yes.
and tourist transport.
That's why I mentioned when I presented my concerns in the budget debate, I gave the history because I was a supporter of Egypt.
Yes.
But and I actually, if you Google it, you'll see my press releases at that time where I said, well, we should consider looking into granting franchises specifically for those like these that have alternative modes of energy being used. But that doesn't address the fact that I still assumed that DOTC was doing their studies as to whether you need an additional vehicle on the road. And that's why, and again, you'll see all the documents. That was 2007? Around 2007 was my press release on that. And I did find out that they did grant a franchise to Makati and not to the others. But it does not address that bigger question.
Ma'am, we're not, the Secretary, in the course of all of these, the Secretary is looking for a scientific way. Because I don't know if you're familiar with how franchises are awarded. There's no scientific basis for this. I mean, it's all, you apply to us, we send, say, 3 people on the road, or you study this corridor and tell us, is there public demand? Because that's what we're measuring, public demand. But, that's very subjective. It's open to many kinds of, it's the integrity of that process is not assured. So that's why we've really held off issuing any sort of franchise until we come up with the scientific basis for this. So the scientific methodology we're looking at is procuring transport models. So for people to do origin-destination surveys, not just in Metro Manila. If you notice in our budget...
So in other words, you're trying to shift from being supply-driven to demand-driven.
Demand-driven.
So even if there's 1,000 people knocking on your doors for whether it's e-jeeps or regular jeeps, you want to now base it on a holistic study that also determines what type of transportation you need. And this will now, and in a nutshell, no, so we can move on to the others. I mean, I have 1,000 other questions, but will this basically incorporate the ideas that Attorney Oposa presented? That's my bottom line.
Yes.
Will this be considering that, well, then how many people can get to their work just by walking? If you created that beautiful walkway as in Iloilo and with all those trees, it will do people a world of wonder to shift their mind frame, and instead of trying to get there in 5 minutes, take a 20-minute walk, So will it incorporate? Because it has to. That's what I will insist.
It will, ma'am. I think it's not just captured the projects in the pipeline. There's an Ortigas Greenways project, Greenways versus a walkway. We're working with ADB and Clean Air Asia on this. So it is being funded through the Road Board. It was approved by the Road Board last October, and we're bidding it out in January, and Paulo Alcazaran is the one designing this greenway. So we're hopeful that if this is a success, then it would be the template for other walkways. So this is to support the walkability, to encourage people to walk. Yes,
that's my one big change that I think, I mean, it's not cheap, because most of them will be above board.
Yes.
But if you do a computation, and I don't have it, but maybe Attorney Oposa can whip out something. If you do a computation on the health cost that goes down from these people walking 20 minutes a day, and the stress, even if that stress is not computed into the number of stress tabs that they buy in a week, or how many times they have to miss work, yun nga, go back to quality of life. So I'd really like to see that is a major component. And that would have to include then advertising and working with DepEd. The second level of this hearing, which could also be just like a technical working group or a forum, would be working with DOH, DepEd into this holistic thing, because you need them to partner with you, so that when you present to the public na we slashed the budget of 50 billion for buses, instead we're going to make walkways, the general public might be like the example of the successful lawyer that Tony Oposa showed us, would be like, bakit? Pangarap ko magkakotse, tapos eto binawasan mo yung sasakyan. So, you will need to partner with them.
Yes. Okay, ma'am, we will consider that. Ma'am, if we...
No, you won't consider it.
Yes, we will.
I want to be sure that you do it. Kasi nga, you will end up not making that shift. The secretary, not just of DOTC, but probably of DPWH, will resist it because because also so many of our secretaries are politicians, and I'm not just one or two, no, but quite a lot. We are all very sensitive to the public's reaction. So without that change in perception of the public na, oo nga, mas maganda tong naglalakad-lakad tayo sa ilalim ng mabangong simoy ng hangin, aalma yung public na bakit ganun yung spending. And so, hindi rin gagawin ng ng mga departments. That's what I'm saying. So from the ground, it has to be a change, a holistic approach that includes the awareness campaigns and budgeting to change that perception.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. We will
And
do
since
that.
si Attorney Oposa will, I was about to say do that for free. Hindi naman for free, but through the awareness campaigns na fun and, you know, people see what they can do in their own localities, much can be done to convince those at the highest level that this is actually what people will appreciate in the long run.
Okay, ma'am. Yes. Ma'am, can I just...
So, paki-include na rin yung comments ko dun sa action plan nyo kahit hindi
Sige,
nyo
ma'am.
inimbita ng December 1.
Ma'am, we will do that. And we could also, once we finalize it, we would run it through naman again with
Please, kasi
stakeholders, other
what
stakeholders.
we need you to know is that pagdating sa budget, some of us may end up blocking it, not because we don't like it in general, but it does not include integral components which we feel will really change, no? That's the thing. So I do suggest that you work with the committee on any changes that you're making over the next year until the next budget
Yes,
season.
ma'am. Baka we could present it, ma'am, in, you know, using NIP, the National Implementation Plan, as a framework. Kasi I think you see it in the budget item, but it's not really clear what it's supposed to do. You know, you could just see it as another infra project,
Yeah.
but as I've said earlier, that, you know, you could see it as a NAMA, it's a contribution to NAMA, it's a contribution to
Siguro
GHG.
in January, we can have another,
Sure, ma'am.
we can invite all the stakeholders as well. But I know you'll have a continuing thing later. So anyway, sige, go ahead and add whatever you want to add, and then let me call on the other. Do you have anything else at this point?
I think, ma'am, that's it. Except for...
Did you want to make a very quick run through? Not necessarily every provision, but did you want to highlight anything that you want to emphasize, or is there anything that requires improvement in the bill? You can also submit it, but if you just want to highlight anything, you can.
I think for the...
Because we can already, actually what I will ask you to do then is to submit specifics in the national plan that we might be able to integrate here. I mean, just, you know, general concepts
Yes,
that you
ma'am.
might want to integrate.
Ma'am, actually, I just wanted to, you know, to take this opportunity right now, just regarding Section 6, public transportation. Because one of the key things that we're looking at the department is to shift public transportation on a service contracting basis. Service contracting is what they do in London, Hong Kong, Singapore.
Okay.
So instead of you having, say, 300 bus operators, like the case in EDSA now, so you just, you know, you package the transport corridors and then you bid it out to interested bus operators. So those bus operators are paid on a per kilometer basis, but with government taking the fare box. So, because it ensures coordinated and higher quality standards. For example, ma'am, in London.
So
So,
it's like they get a commission. Parang,
no, ma'am.
No?
It's assured na. Because the reason why traffic is so bad, because ngayon it's pasahero. Your incentive is pasahero. Nag-aagawan ng pasahero.
They're based on per kilometer,
Per kilometer run.
not number of.
Yes. So,
okay.
but ma'am, the key, one stumbling block for us, aside from not having a public transport corporation, similar to the MMTC, the Love Bus before. I think that's the ideal setup. But anyway, is one key policy that we're struggling with is government willing to subsidize bus operations, just like how they subsidize rail operations. So, ma'am, that's a key legal policy now, because issue that we're facing with. That's why we can't roll out the project. So ideally, for example, Ortigas C5 kasi it's prime, it's pilot. There are only 28 operators, jeepneys along that route. So we could easily implement it there, easily being relative. But yun na nga, we've determined you have to pay them 102 pesos per kilometer. So, for example, we bid it out, you win, say, 300,000 kilometers in a year, we pay you, that's the assured contract. But if kulang yung mga pamasahe, is government willing to subsidize yung kulang? Kasi we get the fare box, kukunin natin yung and then we pay the operator monthly, ito yung bayad mo. But minsan, kung kulang yung pamasahe, we need to subsidize that.
But is there study ongoing or a
Yes,
study
ma'am.
that
There
can
are-
tell you?
Because ang daming moving factors, ang daming moving parts in this picture. So that's why we can't really, we think you don't have to subsidize, but we need to prepare for the eventuality. Kung kulang, is government willing?
Did you
So
want to
that's the
comment?
issue.
We can discuss that at greater length later, Buwi, no? Pero we have serious reservations about government subsidizing.
Okay.
In the same manner, how much is MRT? 70 pesos dapat. How much are people paying?
15.
15.
Yes.
So we're subsidizing what?
5 billion a year for MRT.
Imagine, kaming taga Cebu, nagbabayad para sa inyo rito.
Yes, that's correct.
That's not fair.
Yes,
Di ba?
I agree.
So instead, we will discuss it later. Form a cooperative of this transport groups. Cooperative sila, bayanihan nga eh. Di ba?
But
So sila na ang kikita. Wala na kayong ang puhunan ng gobyerno, yung karsada lang, yung daanan nila. That's the equity. We'll discuss it later kasi may marami pang
But, okay, yes, Mr. Oposa, but ma'am, yun lang for Section 6. I think we could submit a position paper to you if you're willing to include something to support that, because I think it would need approval from the executive, from legislature regarding that. It's a shift, so we're not sure how to go about it.
Yeah, I'd like to get more details, but
Okay.
just in the interest of hearing everyone, before I move to NEDA, but just because you mentioned a few things, so we can close off on those topics and I won't have to jump around, no? And COA is here, Director Camon. We briefly touched on the road users fee or the special vehicle pollution control fee. That Senator Villar was interested in. I recently had a meeting with ASEC Patdu, with Secretary Pahe. Yung dalawa lang ba? Yes. Earlier, a year ago, also with Secretary Ike Ona, because this was really my concern regarding the need for environment, health, and planning to all work together. In a nutshell, there is an opportunity to shift the jeepneys to cleaner fuel, and one of our idea is to use the special vehicle pollution fund. So you mentioned that you're coming up with criteria. So if we can just talk on the side later on, because what we wanted from COA was to get clearance that this is doable. No? If the objective is simply to precisely to provide cleaner fuel, then what other better project than this, no? Among many other projects, I'm sure. But we want to get it done, yun nga, as Attorney Oposa says, mabagal tayong kumilos in government. So we want to try to put this together as soon as we can, no? I think this was already brought to the attention of COA, so I don't know, Director, if you're prepared for a statement on that, because offhand, we have made preliminary inquiries on the use of the Special Vehicle Pollution Fund precisely for cleaner fuel. So if you're prepared to make a statement on the record, then that would be great.
Madam Senator Pia, this is the first time I heard this, and I was just informed to attend this meeting, but maybe probably we could discuss.
Yeah. Okay, you can get more information about it, no?
Yes.
And then, and that's the idea, that we can all move forward. So the long-term plan of this hearing is to see a sustainable transportation program rolled out, to have a law that ensures that through the generation of different secretaries, this vision is sustained. And the short term is to get programs that are consistent with this plan off the ground as well. And then I'll also call on Mr. Tony Garcia to make a quick statement. I mentioned the issues with e-jeepneys, no? And the position really that I take is focus on our existing Filipino technology, our Filipino industries. So that there's another one also. Sorry, Mr. Romel Juan. So both of you, no? So let me give both of you the floor and just give us a quick update of what you're doing. And yeah. So Mr. Tony Garcia first.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am. Actually, we also adhere dun sa sinasabi nyo regarding we don't add jeepneys on the road. Our target was really not to have franchises, but to replace all jeepneys. That's the target naman of our ano.
Perfect.
And manufacturing-wise, we already have a plant here. We have jobs already started here in Carmona. So if ever we want to invite
So you
them-
are a manufacturing facility?
Yes po, ma'am. We manufacture po. So we manufacture. We're
Kayo-
not into transport business
Kayo
po.
ba yung dati sa Bacolod? Ito ba yon?
Hindi po, ma'am.
Ah, okay.
Hindi po, ma'am. So yun po yung ano lang namin, to replace. Actually, we're the company that has a franchise already. We run 2 units of drop and substitute already.
In Makati? Ito ba yung sa Makati?
Hindi po,
Ah,
ito
where,
yung
where?
sa Quezon City po.
Okay.
So we have 2 units na na-drop yung nag-replace, actually replacement ang ano namin. Yung jeeps
And
namin.
it's fully manufactured in the Philippines?
Yes, ma'am, dito po.
Pero ano yung itsura niya? Mukha pa rin siyang jeep o...
Hindi na po, ma'am.
Hindi na.
Malayo na kasi yung jeepney kasi is more on a US design base. Yung jeep, yung Filipino icon na sinasabi natin po. It's an American design po. It's the Willys Jeep po siya eh. So, this jeep namin, kami rin po ang nag-design po nito, nag-isip nung design. We didn't follow the one with the horse and the stuff. Yung ganun.
Sige, let me introduce you, if you're interested, to people from the NCCA, the National Commission on Culture and Arts.
Sige po.
Para you're reinventing the jeepney rin lang with what you believe is more Filipino. Baka they can help with the, cultural aspect on how
Sige po,
you
ma'am.
can
Thank you po.
make it more iconic Filipino.
Yes po, ma'am. Kasi baka naman may suggestions open din naman.
Go ahead, thank you, Mr. Garcia and Mr. Romelwan.
Good morning po, Senator. Ay, good afternoon pala. Actually, may presentation din ako, kaya lang di ko nadala. Pero mabuti na rin kasi ayoko sundan si Attorney Oposa. I'm Romel Juan. I'm with the Philippine Utility Vehicle, but I'm also the president of the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines. We're actually, sa PHUB ho, kami ho actually ang pioneer electric vehicle manufacturer sa Pilipinas. We started in 2007. We're actually part of the Motor Vehicles Parts Manufacturers Association of the Philippines.
So, inyo yung nakita ko sa Bacolod.
Ay,
Hindi rin.
alin ho yun? Kasi meron ho kami sa Iloilo, meron kami sa Cagayan de Oro. Hindi ko sigurado
I'm not
kung...
sure then, but I've seen kasi the names eh. So anyway, okay.
Okay. It started though in 2000, our company started in 2006. We're part of the Motor Vehicles Parts Manufacturers Association of the Philippines. And what we wanted to do was create a Philippine utility vehicle na all local ho. No? And nilaunch ho namin to in late 2006. Unfortunately, nawala ho yung engine supplier namin. So, nawalan kami ng engine. Tapos, about the same time, nag-launch ho ang Makati ng e-jeeps nila. Pero yun din ho ang napansin namin. Sabi namin, imported from China yung ginawa nilang jeepney. So, nilapitan ho namin ng Grip, sila Red Constantino, sila Ating
Oh, yan yung
Ballesteros.
grip. Yun yung naano
Si
ko
Grip
sa
ho.
Bacolod. Oo.
Opo. Kinausap po namin sila, sabi namin, i-localize natin because this is a Filipino icon. And that's what we did. In 2007, we launched the Makati Green Route. So, sa Makati ho, 20 electric jeepney ho yung napatakbo namin. Since 2007, hanggang ngayon ho, tumatakbo pa yun. And we're so proud to say na it's making money. Maintenance-wise, it's easier for them. We made studies already na pag regular jeepney, on a per kilometer basis, ang kosto sa diesel is mga 6 pesos 70 centavos. Pero pag electric, nasa 450 lang. So mas mura ho talaga mag-operate. Maintenance-wise, ang electric vehicles only has about 350 parts kumpara ho sa regular na sasakyan, mga 4,000 parts. So mas madali ho maintain. Opo. So, and medyo, yun nga lang ho. But I'm glad to say, Makati, our units were the first to get an LTO license. So legal na po talaga magkaroon ng electric vehicle, may plaka na ho yan. And the Makati units were the first to be granted a franchise by the LTFRB. Unfortunately, hindi ho lumaki kaagad at dumami yung mga units sa Makati, siguro dahil wala rin masyadong pasahero doon sa lugar na yon. In 2009, we started the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines, and we organized the Electric Vehicle Summit. Senator, imbitahin ho namin kayo sa susunod naming summit sa February. Kami rin ho ang nag-push ng alternative fuel bill. This was originally filed by Senator Recto, and ang sa Congress si Congressman Mandanas. On the 16th Congress, ni-refile ho ito ni Senator Trillanes, ni Senator Bam Aquino, ni Senator Binay. Tapos sa Kongreso si Congressman Villar. Iba't ibang versions. Yung kay Bam nga ho meron kay Senator Bam meron pang non-fiscal incentive. So yung mga sana hindi siya kasama sa number coding and ganyan, may free parking in new establishments. So we're very much pushing for this bill, and yun ho ang magiging sikreto. Pag makalusot ho yung AFV bill, yung huli ho, kamontik na eh. Kaya lang hindi lang ho nagkabay kami. Hindi ho nakapag-appoint ang Congress ng conferee nila eh. Pero ang Senate tapos na ho eh. But anyway, kung ito ho lumusot ngayon, makakatulong ho sa local manufacturing. Ang computation ho namin, sa ngayon ho ang electric jeepney nasa mga 750,000 pesos. Pero pag lumusot ho yung AFV bill, pag magkaroon ho ng incentives on taxes, excise tax, and on manufacturing, bababa ho to 587. So we're really pushing for that. Marami na hong nangyayari ngayon sa electric jeepney. Suddenly, people are realizing that it's not just eco-friendly, but it's economically viable as well. We recently launched the Philinvest 360 Eco Loop in Philinvest City, and it will start operations actually this week ho. We will supply them 20 electric jeepneys. 10 na ho yung tatakbo ngayon. Ang papalitan ho nito ay mga hindi ho registrado, mga colorum ho na jeeps na tumatakbo sa Philinvest. So sila ho nag-decide na hindi na natin papayagan yung mga colorum, yung mga rehistrado na ho. Actually kami ho sa industry, kahit yun lang muna ang targetin namin kasi po ang jeepney sa Pilipinas 370,000 ho yan. There's no manufacturer in the Philippines who can supply all of that kung papalitan ho natin.
I was going to say without really being in conflict with any future plans that the sustainable that DOTC has for sustainability, there are gaps for you to fill eh. So
Opo.
there are lots of opportunities.
Maraming
naman,
opportunities, especially yung in-implement ho yung anti-colorum law. Sana ho matuloy-tuloy yun. Kasi ho, pag colorum yung jeepney, 50,000 yung fine nila. Ang bus, 1 milyon yata. Pag ganun ho, matatanggal talaga yung mga hindi rehistrado.
And you have a lot of opportunity in private
Institutions.
private institutions within what do you call this, ecozones.
Yes, opo. Pinapag-aralan na ho namin. Actually, medyo na-unlock na ho namin yung sekreto ngayon. Number one, you really need a reliable manufacturer and supplier na hindi ka iiwan. Kasi ho, nung mga nakaraan, nagkaroon na ho ng mga fly-by-night na magbubukas, magbebenta ng units from China, tapos pag masira, wala na sila. Yun ho yung mga nakakasira.
And what I would just add to, if I may interject, no, dun sa pag na-floor ulit yung alternative fuel, but that's just on the fuel, no?
Apo.
Yung sa inyo lang is yung sinabi ko, if you can, I mean, I can mandate it, but I'm happy to hear that interested kayo in that kasi it doesn't cost much more to make it, very Filipino and culturally reflective of our past.
Yung unit ho namin, 4 ang kabayo, so 4 horsepower ho yun. Mga naka-design. But anyway, tapos ang kailangan pa ho, we recognize na kailangan ho ng reliable na fleet operator din. Kasi yun ho ang magpapatakbo ng fleet at marunong sila. Medyo mahirap ho ang napansin namin na pag sabihin mo lang sa driver operator o palitan mo ng electric jeepney ang jeep mo. Number one, paano nila ma-afford yun? Number two, kasi ho medyo hand to mouth din ang mga drivers natin. So pag masira ho yun, hindi nila ma-maintain. No? So ang parang pinupush namin is merong fleet operations. At ang isa pa ho is funding. Kailangan ho natin ng funding kasi yung operators can actually make money from operations but it will take time for them to get back their money. So Ngayon ho, marami kaming nakikita mga venture capitalists and angel investors who are looking into transport of sustainable mobility in the Philippines. Maikwento ko lang ho, kaya ho may saysay din yung pagpunta namin dito sa Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines. Kasi po, pumunta ho ang China Bicycle Association sa Pilipinas, and they were looking for a bicycle association that they can tap to partner with. Opo, alam ko po ang Firefly. Inimbita ho namin sila kasi ho yung wala ho silang mahanap, kami ho yung nilapitan sa Electric Vehicle Association, tapos inimbita ho kami sa Asia Bicycle Alliance. So pumunta ho ako sa China, and pumirma ho kami ng MOU with China, with India, with Russia, and other countries. Magkakaroon ho ng Asian Bicycle Alliance. And because of this, natutunan ko po yung industriya and the potential that we have in the Philippines. Right now ho, sadly, wala hong bicycle industry sa Pilipinas kasi nasa China lahat. Napakamura gumawa ng bike sa China. But I'm glad to report, meron hong opportunity ngayon sa Pilipinas. Kasi po, mataas, inislap ho ng European Union ang China ng mataas na tariff sa kanilang mga bisikleta. Pero ang Pilipinas nag-grant ho tayo ng GSP status. So, mas mababaw ang tarifa natin pag dito mag-export to the European Union. So ngayon ho, meron hong mga Chinese companies na interesadong pumunta sa Pilipinas at makipag-partner sa atin. Pero syempre ho, kailangan siguraduhin natin na meron hong local value added. Hindi naman ho yung padadaanin lang. No? So through the Electric Vehicle Association po, we're looking for other bike associations that we can link up with these interested companies. And since mag-export ho tayo sa European Union pag dito i-assemble, finally ho, baka pwede na nating supplyan yung domestic market ulit at mapalaki natin. Isa pa po, pumunta po kami sa China, pinag-aralan ho namin yung bike sharing program nila. We went to Hangzhou, the biggest bike sharing program in the world. They have 78,000 bikes na iniikot ho nila. Meron ng isang control center, nakikita nila kung lahat saan yung mga bike stations. Kung may walang laman, dadala nila ng bike. Yung meron, babawasan nila. And we want them we want to implement similar bike sharing programs sa Pilipinas. We're talking to some real estate companies now like Philinvest. Sabi namin mag-pilot tayo sa BGC ron, iniisip namin mag-pilot. We're calling on, alam ko po ang ADB merong programa diyan na parang tutubi, yung tutubi. Pero gusto rin ho namin makipag-partner with MMDA, with their yung bike kadahan nila. And I think we represent the industry, and we are adamant in promoting sustainable mobility rin po.
Thank you. Let's chat more on that. You brought up very interesting things. I should have cut you off sooner just because we're running out of time. But the things you said were really interesting. So I really appreciated what you shared. Thank you. So let's leave that and let me now go to NEDA, Mr. Lito Abelyara.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Magandang hapon po. Madam Chair, I have no presentation to make, but NEDA will submit written position comments on the proposed bill.
Well, but the question is, I always assume because something like this, this big program, I assume it's NEDA. But from the presentation of ASEC Bonifacio, if that pretty much is it, then just add to it, unless there's something else that you want to share.
Madam Chair, if I may be allowed to cite one of the major strategies under the updated 2011 to 2016 Philippine Development Plan. It actually is strategy number 14 of Chapter 10, Accelerating Infrastructure Development, which reinforces the earlier statement of ASEC Bonifacio. And if I may be allowed to read, Madam Chair. The government will pursue the national environmentally sustainable transport. That's the nest earlier mentioned by ASEC Bonifacio strategy, which aims to reduce energy consumption and associated greenhouse gases and air pollutant emissions. The NEST also promotes the use of transport systems with low carbon intensity and shift towards more environmentally sustainable modes. Further, installation of safe non-motorized transport facilities such as sidewalks, footbridges, underground walkways, and bicycle ways will be provided to ensure pedestrian safety. With that, Madam Chair, I may say that the current Philippine Development Plan is cognizant of the very same ideologies that the current proposed bill is expounding, Madam Chair. Thank you.
You from NEDA and DOTC does not forget it, no? I'm just going to reiterate this. I listened very carefully to the phrases that you read to us, and I still feel that it does not incorporate the broader definition of sustainability, especially when it comes to using local technology and local, local technology and local sources. That I don't think that was there, and so I just want to be sure that we don't overlook that. I did not mention earlier during the discussion with ASEC Bonifacio, but in some other debates I had in other committees, I wanted to be sure that DOST is current and is maximizing the wealth of talents that we have in the state universities and colleges. We have 110, and me and my team, my Senate team, we sit on that board. And so, with all this technology, isang pinakita ni Attorney Oposa was the DOST, what do they call it? Monorail or something? What was it? Monorail? Which is actually demo, ha? I sit on the board of UP2 and I have to find out, okay, demo. At what point? I mean, we're so proud of it, but come on, guys, it's a demo. I mean, until you move it forward, and same with all these patented inventions that I've seen in so many state colleges, they're great. I'm so amazed. Yung magbibisikleta ka, may ilaw, pang-charge ng cellphone mo, so okay, habang nagbabay ka, di ka mauubusan ng baterya, fine. So, sabi ko, bigay mo na to sa akin para magamit natin. Ay, ma'am, inaano pa namin. So, you know, how do you take that next step? And that's where NEDA kind of comes in, no? Local, you know, where do you push it further? Funding for DOST to be able to do a master list of everything we have and take those that are worthwhile to the next level. So those are the 2 points that I want to be sure we don't overlook. And then, well, they kind of went together, no? The DOST knowing what is locally available, and the second one was, it's often overlooked, but preserving our arts, heritage, and culture. There's so much. In the recent conference I was in less than a month ago, I found out that in the United States, they have a cultural and heritage officer in every agency of government where maapektuhan yon, including Public Works and Highway, including the military. So I would think in NEDA and DOTC as well, because either you forget about culture and arts, or somebody will bring it to their attention, tapos na. You know, like, you know, you may do that walkway in a beautiful way, yung pala only to find out, sayang oh, kasi 100 years ago may walkway pala tong original na kaya namang i-preserve, hindi naman pangit, hindi naman, you know, things like that. And then on hindsight, all it had required was that there's a heritage and cultural expert. So if that could be included in this planning, I think that will do us a world of good. Okay, so we are pressed for time. Thank you, Mr. Abellera. I do hope we will all stay in touch on this, no? So let me, I'm just trying to have some order here. DNR, you're an essential part of this program.
Good afternoon.
As I said, I met with Secretary Paje. We've had a couple of
afternoon, Your
discussions.
Honor.
So, sige.
We are in support of the proposed bill for sustainable transportation. However, we are proposing for an integrated bill to consolidate the 4 bills so that it could harmonize all the necessary actions as far as environmentally sustainable transportation is all about. The department stands to gain from this bill as far as facilitation, mobilization of action on the reduction of air pollution levels emanating from motor vehicles. And we are very glad about that, Your Honor.
The good news, Dr. Eva, is that I think if there's one thing that paulit-ulit kong naririnig ngayon is environmentally sustainable. So pasok na kayo. I don't the chances of your concerns being ignored at this point is very small, no? So that's the good thing. I think the challenge now is for you to work with Department of Health
And
to ensure
DPWH.
that your data is very clear to even push your agenda further.
Okay.
But anyway, go ahead. I just wanted to say that.
So the DNR through the Environmental Management Bureau issues ECCs for both public and private road construction projects. Hence, as part of our support, we have an ongoing technical working policy review with the issuance of a memorandum circular on the inclusion of the sidewalk and bike lane requirements for the mentioned road construction project prior to the issuance of ECC.
Oh,
So-
can I, because I'm just concerned with the time constraint, I'll just ask my staff to ask you later on. I have a few more questions on that bike lanes because I just read something in the paper about DNR's position on bike lanes, which is a move in a positive direction, but I just wanted to get more details.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Okay. So maybe let's let's go to MMDA because as I always say, no, the image that we present to the country is usually first glimpse at through Metro Manila. So MMDA has a big role in ensuring that things move smoothly, unfortunately slowly, in Metro Manila. So I don't know, are there any initiatives by MMDA separate from all this? Are you part of all these discussions? You have the floor. So Mr. Michael
Yes, ma'am.
Dizon?
Yes, ma'am. Well, good afternoon, Madam Chair. Since 2011, ma'am, we have the chairman has already implemented the bike lane. He revitalized it. He started for now we have started with 5 bike lanes in Ross Boulevard, in Ortigas, in Ayala, in Commonwealth, Marcos Highway, and as I mentioned in Ross Boulevard.
Can you say that again? Rojas Boulevard.
Ross Boulevard, in Marcos Highway, along Commonwealth, along Ayala Magallanes, and Ortigas bike lane. The idea is for the local government to be inspired to initiate bike lanes all over the Metro Manila. So far we have done that, and we are proposing to have a bike network for Metro Manila. That's the plan for 5 years. It's around 200 kilometers of bike lane all over Metro Manila to connect the network. So it's a grand plan.
Do you have whether foreign or local, I don't care, but a technical consultant on this? Kasi
Yes, ma'am.
let me just tell you my concern. That's why I wrote down the areas that you mentioned to see if I frequent any of these areas. And the reality is I don't see any of them. I don't see any bikers or group. I don't see a sustainable group of bikers using this. And my initial take on that is that it is not cohesive. Well, number one is takot silang mamatay bukas sa usok, okay? And I don't bike in Metro Manila. I bike from Alabang to Tagaytay. And if I go like this, talagang kailangan kong gamitin yung kuko ko. Kundi, I'm not kidding. Hindi matatanggal yung alikabok kung daliri lang. Kailangan kuko. Kailangan kong kayurin yung kuko. Kasi may sunblock din ako. But that's another story. So that's already Tagaytay, which you can imagine, mas fresh yung air doon. No? What more Metro Manila? On that note, though, assuming that there are those brave enough, and assuming that there is such a mass that can protect you, I don't think it is contiguous, no? So kung like for a while, and I have not been able to check on the current status, for a while, LRT ba ang pwedeng magsakay ng bike, pero MRT hindi. So, and sometimes you really have to go from LRT to MRT. And then my question is, do all the stations na natitigilan, meron bang bike rack? And then I know for a fact, a lot of bikers, for lack again of public facilities, in terms of bike racks, the government does not provide. So they'll try to, find a private establishment that will, like maybe malls or whatever. Kulang din yon. So that's the thing. I would be happy to sit with you, and I'm so happy to know that there are more biking, and we haven't even gotten to this group over here who are have done very interesting things, and I'm sure we can tie up with them. But that's the thing, and maybe they can take over after this question because yun nga, unless ano yun, cohesive yung plan na yun.
For now, ma'am, yung aming bike lanes, yung 5, is to inspire lang people to use the bike. For now, kasi malaki na yung network eh. Like in the problem namin with Ayala, pagkatapos nung Ayala, wala na ho kami pwedeng gamitin eh. Papunta doon sa next bike lane namin, which is Ortigas.
Yun nga.
Yun ang concern.
Ayun nga. Pero walang biker na, sinong gagamit nun? So you don't really inspire anything. Actually, it becomes a butt of jokes na saan papunta yung bike lane na yun? That's the thing.
That's the concern
I know
also,
what you're trying to say, but it doesn't work that way. You don't end up inspiring anyone. You don't see a single biker there. But anyway, again, we can dissect this further into technical groups, the bikers group, yes, quick reaction.
Yes, ma'am, no, just to share, we tried to bid out bike racks for MRT or LRT, I forget, but it was a failed bid. Nobody bid it.
Say it again. Sorry.
We tried to bid out bike racks for to procure a service who's interested in providing bike racks at MRT and LRT stations, and/or I forget if it's and/or, but it was a failed bid. Nobody bid it.
Well, I can imagine because, I mean, first of all, from what I know from before, parang yung last, ano ba tawag doon, the last car lang ang pwedeng sakyan ng bike. Pag rush hour, hindi pwede. Ang daming bawal. So parang, kung ikaw yung biker, and buti man lang kung naka-online yung mga requirements, baka pabago ba, who's gonna bid? I mean, who so like I said, everything has to be part of a master plan. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And yun nga, I mean, all of you here speak with such authority. It's just sad that we want to say that we did something about it, but without really making it part of a master plan, parang it's almost like we're barely doing anything about it. Anyway, very quickly, because mga 5 people still have to speak. Is that it? Anything? I mean, like I said, I want to sit
Yes,
down and
ma'am.
have
Yes,
more
we
details.
will,
But
ma'am.
anything else you want to bring up?
Ma'am, for our yung ferry system, Pasig ferry system, we're
Good.
trying
I'm
to
glad you mentioned that.
drum up the passenger ridership. In order
Okay,
for
I
us.
volunteer to be your model pasahero.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? No, because I am such a fan of using the ferry. I really am in other countries. And especially kung hindi maalon at hindi maalon ng Pasig River.
Yes, ma'am.
And for the life of me, it's just really a matter of people realizing it's there and it's reliable. So again, it's like, don't use me to inspire a bike lane. I want to be sure that these things travel on time.
Yes, ma'am.
Even if you tell me, dalawa lang ang sakay niyan, isang alas 8 at isang alas 9. Okay lang, kung dalawa lang, dalawa. Pero siguraduhin yung nandun ng alas 8 yun at aalis ng alas 8. I'm
Yes,
game. So anyone, I invite everyone else also to do this. Yes.
Ma'am, sorry, just to update also, the study for the Mapalya, that's Manila, Laguna, Pasig River Ferry is about to end. So we're looking at a PPP project for this, but in the interim, we've partnered with MMDA to do this. But the study is ending this December. Hopefully, we can tender the project by first quarter of next year.
Okay. Those of you who can stay after this to have further discussions like on the bikes, on the ferry, because I would love to get more information and the little things that we can do to promote it, to connect the dots. Let's try to do that. So on that ferry, and then I'll go back to bike. Napunta na tayo kasi sa ferry. I just know that Bantay Kalikasan is here. You, and you're the one raising your hand. Mary Beth Delgado, yes.
Yes, good afternoon, Senator. First of all, we would like to commend you for the bill that you have filed. It is indeed a good way within which we will be able to promote a better quality of life for our people by protecting our environment. So as the representative of Ms. Gina Lopez of the PRRC, I think, as you said, the ferry system should really be taken into consideration as another mode of transportation.
Sumakay na kami ni Gina dyan mga 6 or 8 years ago. Pero wala pa masyadong social media na noon. Baka ngayon mas papatok na.
Siguro po ang mas maganda is that there is a total rehabilitation of the Pasig River so that there is connectivity and we can learn from the experience of Singapore whereby it has generated a lot of employment. and it is sustainable and also one of the tourism.
But is there connectivity now dito sa Pasig River run ng ng
hindi po-
ferry? I mean, does it take you to point 1 to point 2? Pagdating mo sa point 2, it's a hub of where people would go down and get to their jobs. May ganun ba? Or you're lost in space pagdating
Hindi,
mo sa
ma'am.
next point? Yeah.
Meron- I think we have ma'am, 7 ferry stations, ma'am.
Okay.
From Pasig to...
And pinag-aralan nyo na those are, like pagdating mo
Existing lines
doon,
ata po yun, ma'am eh.
pero pagdating doon, walkable ba yung pupuntahan ng mga tao? May shed ba doon? May
Ay, oo,
ano
ma'am.
ba?
Maganda po yung aming mga stations.
O, sige, so can we,
Yes, ma'am,
let's
I'll
dissect
schedule it.
this in the next meeting. Okay, anything else you want to add?
And then, ma'am, with regards to the, siguro, if we can have a one comprehensive transport system that connects the railway, for example, to the public transport, the bus, and make sure that
Yeah.
In the future, in the long term, we will have more electric run buses instead of fuel-fed buses.
Well,
on
in
the
terms of
streets.
connectivity, that's my dream, no? That one day in the future, I can do that as I do it in other countries. I cannot get to work from where I live in Alabang because nung binilang ko, parang minimum ng 5 sakay. Pag minalas pa ako, baka mga 7 yon. It's just so, and you know me, I'm willing to walk naman, I'm willing to, you know, but I hear you because depends on where you live. Most are not connected to it to transportation system. The transportation systems are not connected to each other.
And then another suggestion would be to involve the LGUs so that there is connectivity in terms of the planning, especially for the biking lanes, for example.
Of course, yes.
So it's necessary that
Well,
they're
we
also
did invite
involved.
LGU and I think si Superintendent Subong, kayo ba ang representing LGU or just for the PNP? Sabi mo kasi he was sent by DILG. Kayo daw ang pinapunta ng DILG. Pero anyway, I'll get to you later. Oo. Okay, so let me just go back to bike and then I'll call on one of the, and you're an NGO, no? Yeah. Sige, si Karen Crisostomo from the National Bicycle Organization.
Good afternoon, Senator Pia Cayetano. Thank you for inviting us over. I'd just like to inform everyone right now that the Firefly Brigade is actually undergoing a indefinite transition stage and reorg. National Bicycle Organization, we work closely with Attorney Oposa, we share the road movement, and anything po that is bike related, please, we're here. Yes, we're here to help. MMDA, please, you know, when we talk about really use the practical use of a bike lane, please approach us because coming cyclists, we will tell you what can be and what cannot be.
Yun nga yung gusto ko eh. Kasi I think
Yes.
the objective is to really make it work. Or like you said, kahit inspire lang, kahit a small area. Pero kahit small lang yung area, totohanin naman natin.
That it can be
buuin naman
used,
natin.
right?
Oo.
Yes. Kasi sayang naman the effort
Hindi naman
that
yung
you
road
put-
leading to nowhere, di ba?
You put a bike lane, we want it to be used. Yes, no? So we're also working for legislation that will really benefit the cyclists and also the pedestrians. So when we talk about sustainable transportation, really the bicycle is the one that's sustainable and very viable truly because one, you don't use any fuel consumption. There's no zero, and everybody's been complaining about how terrible the traffic is. I biked all the way from Antipolo today. And yes, I braved the pollution and the traffic. But if we don't start with ourselves, and if you always say, I'll bike only when the air is clean, it will never happen. I mean, so we have to at least start somewhere. And to really encourage more bikers, I think we really need to do, I mean, we're talking about sustainability here. We really have to work together, and the OTC and MMDA and all the LGUs. Let's to really encourage more people to start walking, more people to start biking. We have to make it, we have to encourage, make the roads safe, make the roads, the sidewalks. We have to implement. There are laws already in place, and I think we're all aware of that. I think it's a matter also of implementation. We really need political will, power to make it work. So please, again, I'd like to reiterate, anything that's bike-related, National Bicycle Organization is ready, willing, and able to work with you.
Have you ever come up or published like a wish list?
Yes,
or a,
we have actually a draft for an executive order which we submitted last September 11 to the Office of the President. It has already gone through the legal department and it's currently with DESCA. DESCA returned it to Executive Secretary Ochoa, and so now it's a wish list. It's a proclamation for November to be declared as National Bicycle Month, and every fourth Sunday as National Bicycle Day. But along with it, we actually have put in that we want to work closely with DOTC, MMDA, to be able to make and connect bike lanes and the sidewalks to make them really safe. All our projects, we'd like them to be, with the government
Because I
agencies.
received
Yes.
a draft, so would that be the same
Yes,
one
that's the
then?
one.
That's
Correct.
the one. Last September,
Uh,
November.
It was-
Was that the one declaring November as,
As
National Bike Day
and
and all
every
that?
fourth Sunday as National Bicycle Day.
Okay, that's it. Anyway, can we just get a copy to be sure I'm looking at the same thing?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. You actually sent a message of support. Thank you for that.
I was out of town for that cultural.
We have
cultural
received actually
heritage.
messages of support from all government agencies regarding this, and the executive order, the draft, is like a wish list for bikers.
Okay.
So we actually we need help in pushing it because I call every day. I call Malacanang every day to find out the status.
I actually
because-
was of the impression that it had passed because I was out of the country and then when I saw it, but I was checking with my staff and I didn't know if it was the same one. So anyway,
Yes.
as soon as they give me a copy, I can look at it again.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. Yes.
Sige. So, Mr. Buerano of the Coalition of Clean Air Advocates. Is it advocates?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to present a copy to the good senator of our appeal to His Excellency in behalf of the victims of air pollution in the Philippines. And most of the problems and solutions are in this full-page ad. This came out of the Manila Bulletin last December 5. And we also had it at the Philippine Star November 23, November 17. Yeah, we are concerned about the problem of transport sustainability because of the worsening pollution problem in Metro Manila. And because we noticed that it's all the laws are there, the Clean Air Act, it has the Section 21D, which was never implemented for the past 15 years, and the rampant corruption in the emission testing industry in both public and private sector. So everything is there. I'll give you a copy of the full-page ad
Oh, I have
later.
one here now.
Okay.
This one.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your initiative also.
Yes, ma'am.
Is
Good
he-
afternoon, ma'am.
Superintendent Arazad Subong.
Yes, ma'am. I'm
PNP.
from the Philippine National Police. As of now, ma'am, during the discussion of the different resource persons, we don't have any expertise on how this transport initiative will come about, but our concern, ma'am, is after this, the enforcement of the law, and then with respect to interconnectivity of our bike lanes, my concern, ma'am, is using EDSA and Commonwealth, which is a faster speed other than the rest of the roads here in Metro Manila, which is more dangerous to our cyclists. So the interconnectivity of one bike lane to another point. We're passing using EDSA or using the Commonwealth, ma'am.
If we will use our existing road system, they were not built originally for sharing. So yung nga yung sinabi ko, there has to be a lot of awareness campaigns on how to go about it. Kasi even abroad, like in Europe, which is very bike-friendly as it is, they still have their fair share of accidents, di ba? So what more sa atin? Although sa bagal naman ng traffic, I think very safe na it becomes safer for seriously. Yung alam kong accidents nangyayari abroad are more of sa mga bundok na they don't expect to see a cyclist, tapos mabilis sila sa zigzag. Pero where they know that the cyclists are, then mas safe doon kasi they know that there are other road users using the road. So, yun lang. I really want
Thank
that
you, ma'am.
you are all part of this master plan para nabibigay nyo din yung input nyo on your concerns on safety, the road connectivity, the multi-vehicle use. Sige. And DTI, Mr. Ronald Calderon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Actually, we will support the passage of the proposed measures. Right now, we have the current Philippine national standards on bicycle in assembling the bicycles. That's all.
They have standards of bikes and then they're on your bill.
What do you mean they have? What does it mean they have?
They have the we talked to them kanina, but it's luma daw po na standards for bicycles.
No, but are they mandated here?
In our bill for travel demand management, yes, to reduce the volume of cars. Yung mga in our bill.
Go ahead. I mean, did you have any specific inputs on these items?
Our comment. We will later pass our we will later endorse our comments. We just received the invitation this morning, so we have no official comment on this bill. However, we will support this bill for the passage of this bill.
Sige, pakit-check na lang dun sa internal mail system nyo. Kasi last week pa kami nagbigay. Siguro sa'yo lang nabigay kanina. Pero nandyan na sa nasa inyo na yon.
Last week po dumating sa office ni Secretary, then it was only endorsed to us this morning.
But kasi I would like to get your specific input. So, can you just give us a position paper on it? Okay. Sige. Miss Daisy, may separate ka pa ba from wala na? Well, we have a few more minutes, so any other... Sige, Miss Karen.
I just want to suggest also, Sana, that all the local government units, if we're really going to push for sustainable transportation, and the bicycle especially, could we provide bicycle parking in all government agencies? It was very difficult for us bikers. We arrived here at the Senate using our bicycles, but we had to lock our bicycles to the metal barriers. There's no bicycle parking here.
Actually, I was gonna ask you that question, but given the time, I said I'll get back to you. So I'm glad you volunteered that information. So
we locked it to the metal barrier on the side. And which is usually our problem when we go, because we have been going to the different local government units, to the city halls, and there's no bicycle
maybe that's why I said when you have, like for example, in that executive order, does
Yes.
it
is listed
does it
there.
state there that
Yes.
government offices should have?
Yes.
Okay.
That,
Good.
and then even for private and government, that they provide facilities so that if people will bike to work, they have a place to change. And then, so it starts first with bicycle parking, and then when they reach their office or school, because like my children, they bike to school, they have a place to shower and to change. Or like when I bike to work, my office actually has a shower, and I can shower and change. So I think it would really encourage more people. And a lot of our friends are beginning to start to bike to work already because they see that they get stuck in traffic. It's really terrible. So you really get to your place of work
I'm just
faster.
curious, why educate all of us. What was your route coming from Antipolo?
Coming from
here?
Antipolo, yes, we passed Marcos Highway, although there was a bike lane which we only used a portion of because it's not too smooth, no? And then Aurora Boulevard, and then we turned from Aurora into Mandaluyong, and we passed the bridge until we hit Buendia, all the way Makati up to here.
So you biked along Buendia, and then you crossed over na all the way to
that was-
Macapagal.
yes,
You went all the way to
Macapagal, yes.
Macapagal. Which was the best part? Macapagal siguro.
The best part, Actually, I enjoy biking, so there's a thrill of the,
No, in terms of
the road.
yeah, like if not really an official bike lane, but you know the roads are wide enough, so
Maybe makapagal. Maybe, yeah. But,
how long did it take you?
Around maybe an hour and a half.
Okay. Sige, so actually that's what we can do if MMDA is serious about it. I'm sure the group of Miss Karen can actually, you can follow her around and come up with a few routes that are really usable. Kasi
have the
sayang nga
GPS and we
sayang nga
can.
yung model nyo kung walang makitang taong bikers doon, useless lang
We have
yun.
what you call it, the Garmin,
Yeah.
and then so we have routes already that we can share with you, so that it can really.
You might want to use the routes that are really usable.
Yes.
Kasi like katulad nung sabi mo yung sa Marcos, kung malubak pati, hindi rin aayusin yon, hindi rin gagamitin.
It can
Lalabas
actually
din
sa
kami.
Marcos Highway, if you just really reconstruct some portions to make it smooth, it can be actually all over the whole stretch. But because it's not hindi smooth yung transition from the curb to the road, so and also you need to implement and get the people who are selling stuff on the sidewalk, and you have to get the people also who use it as their living room, extension of their homes out of there. We talk to them, but they insist on being there. So it's really difficult for cyclists would like to use the bike lane, but really it's a matter of implementation that bawal sila sa bike lane.
You mean yung sinasabi mong may nakatira doon, that's the actual official bike lane?
Yes.
In,
There are
in Marcos? On
may-
Marcos?
Yes, may mga nagbebenta doon, may tindahan on the bike
yun
lane.
nga eh.
There's parking on the bike lane, jeepneys, taxis using it as a parking lot. So really, if sayang, it's a waste of money.
No,
when
because
you think of-
when
yeah.
MMDA launches it, you can also make a concrete effort to use it, di ba? So,
Yes.
kapag hindi rin ginamit, parang ano din yan eh, talahib, eh, tutubo din yun eh. So, you should be coordinating with them so that they will actually use it. Anyway, I need to wrap up because it's 3 o'clock. Just one last comment which I'm addressing to DOTC and NEDA. You mentioned, ASEC, that all the activities going on for this plan, but that you had only come in the last year. Mr. Abellera, have you been around longer? Because what I want to know is, knowing what almost all of us here, I think, assume is basic, that transportation requires long-term planning. What has happened in the last 4 years, in the last 6 years, 10 years? Have we not bothered to have a plan? Or kasi nagugulat lang ako when I'm faced with this, na what was the plan the last few years? Would you know?
Yes, Madam Chair. For quite some time, I think starting with the Cory Aquino administration, government had embarked on a 6-year medium-term Philippine Development Plan.
Okay.
I'm not really sure on what was the procedure during the Marcos administration. And also sometimes...
If you don't go that far, yun lang, tatanong ko lang, what happened when the president took over? What kind of sustainable transport plan? I can't believe any government would not consider this a priority, no? Dinatnan naman to ng presidente na ganito yon. So I'm just curious. I'm sure it's a vision he also has. So I'm just curious what was done, what was not done, why nothing happened. Meron bang nangyari?
NEDA, Madam Chair, is currently drafting or preparing the socio-economic report for the 2014, and we would try to look at the the socio-economic report, SER, that's what we call it we'll try to find out on what.
No, but you're the division chief of Transpo, no? So, wala ka bang idea kung ano yung history ng plano natin para sa bansa?
For the
That's what I want to know. What plans did we have in the last few years?
we do
What's happening now, aside from the more planning that is happening as ASEC reported? Because baka nga it goes back to what Attorney Aposo was saying, na kalsada lang, yun na yung transportation plans natin, build roads. I don't know. That's why I'm just really curious.
po siguro, Madam Chair. In addition to road construction, there has also been plans to introduce yung mass rail-based, in particular, rail-based transport system. There were also the plan to...
What happened? Kasi nga, 9 years GMA, 4 years na si Pinoy. What has happened?
I would not really be sure on what transpired in each of the implementing agencies.
Pero NEDA naman ang tumitingin nun, di ba? Yung Development Authority eh. So, isn't Transpo a large part of development?
Transport is indeed
not your department? I don't know. That's why I'm trying to get an answer.
Chair, hindi kami on what really ang hirap on
so what is your mandate kayo? Anong trabaho nyo?
Madam Chair, yung division namin in particular is we do look at the transportation plans, assess the major programs, projects that are being proposed by in particular DOTC and DPWH, including MMDA, if their programs and projects would require.
Okay. So over the years, gaano katagal na po kayo, Chief?
With government in NEDA in particular for quite some time, Madam Chair.
Oo. So how long have you been evaluating these plans?
Siguro, more than 20 years.
Okay, so your job lang naman is to evaluate, no, not to come up with the plans. Did anyone submit a holistic, sustainable, long-term plan in the last few years, or puro submit, pabago-bago ba taon-taon? I just want to understand.
Parang ganun, Madam Chair. Parang there's no continuity of the plans. Parang with every administration, parang nababago. Yung shift ng priorities.
Okay, pero kung nagbago, then at least you can tell me ano yung natuloy. Meron bang natuloy? I mean, other than MRT, LRT, ano pa ba?
We could provide you
offhand, top of your head, what major transportation plan, and you said submit ng DPWH, DOTC, like what?
Most recently, Madam Chair,
Ayoko nga nung recent eh. Gusto ko nga yung mga 4 years ago, 6 years ago. Kasi I want to know how come there's no such development plan.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may cite the Metro Manila Interchange Construction Project, Phase 6 of the DPWH, which was during the time, I think, of, parang during the...
Okay, ito na lang. My staff just told me that I have to go into session. Can you give me a history of what was submitted? Kasi I really want the agencies to be accountable for what we're supposed to be doing. Yes, ASEC, Patdu.
Ma'am, in the past, ang ginagawa kasi is a subsectoral master plan. We have the civil aviation master plan.
Okay.
Then you have the strategic development of the national port systems. That's under the strategic development of the national port systems. Port systems in the country.
Okay.
Then DPWH do the national highways. Kaya meron siyang, I think the main issue really that we have to check is maybe
so what you're saying is,
we could look into an institutional integration.
Walang cohesive.
2 years ago, there was this formulation of the National Transport Plan. We are moving towards that to prepare. Kasi makikita natin is archipelagic, so many islands. There are really some challenges to come up with the National Transport Plan. We started that about 3 years ago.
Okay, pero 3 years ago.
Yes.
So is that now integrated here, or I have to read that separately? Integrated na yan dito sa
National Transport Plan is strategic in a sense. Ang ginagawa are tactical plans. Kanina pinag-uusapan natin kanina about bikeways. Sa tingin ko ma'am, ang titignan natin, my suggestions is look into land use and transport interaction. Land use and transport interactions. Kasi sa tingin ko lang, kasi meron kang, the comprehensive land use plan is under the local government. The transport is within the CLUP. Sa tingin ko ma'am, dapat din tignan natin yun. Because, let's say for example, constructions of bikeways, I think it's under the local government. Therefore, on top of the physical integrations, I think we have to look into the institutional integrations also. That's my simple suggestions.
Excuse me.
I assume kasi, if you did not make your interjection, I assume that yung sinasabi ni ASEC Bonifacio is comprehensive, that will also include working with the ILG, yung sa kanila. Pero for me, it's all part of this system should be. It is it? Because that's my understanding. I didn't assume na matatapos tong hearing tapos, uy, teka, meron pala tayong hindi tiningnan. I assume that this should, is it covered? It is. So it may not be.
Mama, double check what are the components, but my understanding
Kasi
is...
from what she says, ako, covered yun sa bill ko.
Yes.
Which is just basically, you know, incorporating every form of getting from one way to the other, lahat ng klase, evaluate what works in this area, what doesn't work, what's cheaper, what's healthier.
So I think the policies under the NIP would support that. I mean, would be to encourage, to enable the environment to, you know, to do all of those things. But as to the details, that's what I'm not sure.
Baka walang details, pero it has
But the policies,
but it has to
yes.
be sure that it already mandates the the local governments to work towards that end. Hindi pwedeng, hindi nakalimutan natin yung part na yon.
Yeah.
That's all you're saying lang naman na may local government component na,
That's what I said, ma'am, earlier, that the NIP looks at a policy framework regarding the integration of land use planning.
You did say that, yeah.
So I think that would fall under,
Sige, let's make sure that it does. Oo. Did you want to add? Was somebody, were you? No?
Well, I would just take exception to the statement of the DOTC that it is a local government responsibility. This law states very clearly, Section 9, that it is DOTC that is responsible. Yes. You want, I will recite to you word for word what the law says. That the new paradigm in the movement of men and things shall follow a new principle. That those who have less in wheels must have more in roads. And for this purpose, biking, walking, cycling, and man-powered mini-train. Quote and unquote, Section 9, Executive Order 774. So, I take exception to that. That was a law 2008. I drafted that law, by the way. And so, what has, in fact, I also asked the question, what has DOTC done to Section 13 of the Clean Air Act, which specifically provides that they should discharge emission, what I call the permit to poison the air. They have not acted on it. Have you? You know, never mind. I would like to reiterate my call for a meeting, a small group meeting now, para mag-usap-usap po tayo na wala tayong... Okay?
I need to go to session, but and I will suspend this hearing, considering that we might have another one to further fine-tune the bill. But you are welcome to stay here for those who want to have a further exchange. My Deputy Chief of Staff, Karen, will stay, and so with the team. And so I do encourage those who have other things to add. I'd love for my team to just exchange, and at least if I have your contact info, because I want to talk about that more, the growth of the potential for Philippine bike manufacturing, and what I can also do with your groups. So thank you everyone for your time, and good luck getting to wherever you have to get to next in the interest of the Christmas season and the lack of sustainable transportation.